Do you believe gay men can find love after 50? Many people would say, no. I used to think it's impossible. But here's what I discovered. What's really holding you back isn't your age. There are three major obstacles I see again and again, and today we're going to break them down. Let's start with this first obstacle. When we tell ourselves we're too old for love, where's this idea really coming from? Whether it's from past rejections or what we see around us, we're not just expressing what we think, we're accepting someone else's rules about who gets to find love. This isn't about our age. It's about handing over our power to this imaginary jury of younger guys who get to decide who's still in the game. Think about it. Every time we tell ourselves, I'm too old, what we're really saying is, I'm letting other people decide what I'm worth. And in a minute, I'll show you how different the reality actually is. There's also this idea that we don't have the vitality for a relationship anymore. What does that even mean? Love doesn't require you to go clubbing till 4 a.m. or have a perfect body. What a relationship actually needs is things like emotional maturity, self-awareness, and the wisdom to know what really matters in a partner. Things that typically get stronger, not weaker, with age. But here's what's really happening. While everyone's busy performing youth on Instagram, there's hunger for authentic connections out there. Real relationships are happening right now between people who dropped the act. People who stopped trying to squeeze themselves into someone else's box of what desirable should look like. And I see it every day in the hundreds of comments on my last videos. I was 72 when I met my 65-year-old husband-to-be. We have been together for 12 wonderful, joyful years. Or this one. My husband and I met when I was 50, and we are going strong and loving life at 59. And I gave up on love, then it finally came at age 69. These kinds of stories remind us of something really important. Connection and love can happen at any age. Yet, so many of us get caught up in this weird dance where we apologize for our years instead of owning them. Where we try to squeeze ourselves into the youth-obsessed gay scene instead of embracing who we are now. What if instead of defending against being too old, you just opted out of that whole conversation? What if you stopped treating your age like something to overcome and started seeing it as the superpower it actually is, the confidence to know who you are and what you want? Now, I can already hear some people thinking, okay, but what about the dating pool? It feels like I'm stuck between guys my age who aren't interested and younger guys who are more interested in my wallets. That's the second big obstacle. But before we dive into that, if you want to get more insights like these, make sure to sign up for my newsletter. I share weekly tips and strategies for navigating the complexities of gay dating and relationships at any age. The link is in the description. Now, back to the dating pool dilemma. Because what really happens is we're busy buying into these two cliche stories of guys looking for sugar daddies and guys our age only looking to date younger. And we're not realizing these are just experiences that people around us may push at us because of their own dating history, or we might have even encountered ourselves. But that doesn't mean these are the only two options, or that everyone we'll ever meet will fall into these two categories. And this is the real trap. We're writing a script about what others are looking for and then forcing everyone to play the parts we assign them. What happens the moment you meet someone new with all these assumptions in your head? Every interaction becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. You meet a guy your age and you're already waiting for that rejection. Or you meet a younger guy and you're basically playing detective, looking for any tiny sign that confirms he's just after your money. And the whole time, you're not even really there in the moment. You're just sitting there waiting to prove yourself right. But what if we just stop doing that? What if instead of playing this weird guessing game about someone's secret agenda based on their age, We just got curious about them as a person. You know what's funny about real connections? They never follow these rules we make up in our heads. They happen when we actually show up and pay attention. While we're busy putting everyone into these boxes of guys our own age or sugar daddy, we're literally doing the exact same thing we're afraid others are doing to us. We're judging if someone is capable of a genuine connection based on their age. And that's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps us stuck in these patterns instead of opening up to real possibilities. And that brings us to our third obstacle. This one's all about the fears that keep us from fully showing up in the dating world. For some of us, it's the fear of being dismissed as just another older guy. For others, it's feeling uncomfortable when someone calls us daddy. And many of us carry that constant fear of being outright rejected because of our age. These fears are different from that voice telling us we're too old to date, or from writing scripts about who might be interested in us and why. These fears of being dismissed or fetishized, they kick in after we've decided to put ourselves out there. They're the ones that make us second guess every interaction or read into every comment and eventually give up on dating. Let's talk about being fetishized for a moment. Take being called daddy, for example. Some of us feel deeply insulted by it. Some own it proudly, and some people, like me, just find it kind of funny. But what's really interesting here isn't the word itself. It's how our reaction to it reveals our own insecurities about aging. When we're worried about being fetishized, what we're really saying is, I'm afraid my age is all people see in me. And somehow, we've gotten so good at looking for signs of rejection or judgment that we actually miss the signs of genuine interest. We're so busy protecting ourselves that we can't even recognize the real thing when it's right there. Every compliment becomes suspicious. Every expression of interest gets put through this filter of, but do they really mean it? And the truth is, yes, ageism exists in our community. And yes, some people will dismiss us or fetishize us. But when we let these fears control how we show up in the dating world, we're giving away our power to people who are wrong. We're letting the possibility of rejection stop us from finding the real connections we deserve. So, how do we move past these three obstacles? The key is building the kind of internal strength that comes from truly knowing your worth. When you've built a strong basis of self-acceptance and self-worth, when you've learned to value your experiences and wisdom, when you're solid in who you are, other people's opinions and judgments start losing their power over you. Your age becomes just another part of your story, not something you need to defend or apologize for. Now, we all know ageism exists in our community, and some days it will still get to you. But when you've built that foundation of self-worth, something interesting starts happening. You actually catch yourself believing compliments. You find yourself staying open to new connections instead of armoring up, waiting for rejection. Because here's what I learned the hard way. Real connections happen when we show up as our full selves, not as our age, not as our insecurities, but as everything we are. The right people will see that, and those are the connections worth waiting for. If this message resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps these conversations reach more people in our community who might need to hear them. See you in the next video. Love you all.